Dan. How are you?
Doing okay. Practicing hard for the upcoming concert.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for taking time and for joining me. So, tell us what have you been up to lately? What's going on with you?
Uh, I wear lots of hats. I'm here in Lake Oswego at the corporate headquarters for Oregon Catholic Press, where I work as the editorial manager. That's my day job. And then I play, of course, with Vancouver. And I was recently up in Tacoma because I'm also the principal horn of the Symphony Tacoma. And their first concert of the season is in 2 weeks. It's actually the Saturday before our concert. So Saturday night before the chamber concert, I will be in Tacoma playing a whole other program up there. So I'm staying busy.
That's so awesome. So, tell us a little bit about your background and how long have you been with the VSO? I still remember you taking the auditions. Sounded amazing. So, tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I'm originally from the Pacific Northwest. I moved down here when I was 10 from Seattle. And then, so I grew up, lived in Vancouver, went to Mountain View High School, played with the Portland Youth Philharmonic under Jacob Avshalomov. So some people who are long timers in the Northwest will remember that name. And then I went to Puget Sound for my undergraduate degree and then went off to New York City and lived there for 10 years. I think you and I might have overlapped a little bit. I was there from 2000 to 2010.
Oh yeah, I've been there.
And
Yeah,
then
I
I
was
moved
there.
back here and gradually started to reestablish in the Northwest and started subbing with the Vancouver Symphony around 2010, 2011, somewhere in there. And I think there was the guy playing third horn at the time named Nathan Laws,
Oh
and
yeah,
he
yeah.
moved somewhere to go to grad school. And so I won the third horn audition, I think in 2013. And then when the principal horn job came open, I think 2017 or 2018, that's when I took that audition and then won that. So I've been playing with Vancouver in some way, shape, or form for almost 15 years. But I've been the principal horn since 2018, I think. So about six years.
And you always sound fantastic. You have such an incredible
Likewise.
solos. Just take last year, the Mahler 5 had like horn concert. I think you even had to stand up for that one.
Yeah. And so I stood up in my chair because that's historically what people have done. Some orchestras actually have the horn player come up and stand in front, but I didn't want to do that.
Oh, you should have done that.
I don't think Salvador wanted that. But when I was standing, the trumpets were like, "Hey, we can't see the conductor." So then I ended up going and standing by the low brass, and gave the trombones a taste of their own medicine by kind of blowing into their row. Usually they're the ones that are playing out towards the orchestra, and so that was when I got to stand over by Mark, and it was, I think, visually very effective for that solo horn to be a little bit isolated from the rest of the section and get some of that stereophonic effect.
Well, I think it was fantastic. So you play a lot in the orchestra, but you also like to play chamber music. Can you tell us what is in your opinion, what is the difference for you? What is there a different approach that you're taking, and what do you like more?
Oh, asking if you like chamber music or orchestra music better is like asking you to choose between your kids, which one you like more. It's not a fair comparison because, of course, you love your kids like differently but equally. And um, uh, orchestra, of course, you're part of a larger whole, and sometimes you're blending with these amazing sonic textures, and that's very satisfying. Chamber music is a more intimate, often kind of scenario. Maybe you don't have all those different instruments, and so it's up to you to provide the tonal color. Um, so there's more opportunity for expressions of tonal shading. It's not just an isolated clarinet solo here and there, it's all the time. And there's more give and take with the other musicians because there's no conductor, right?
Right,
So
right.
so you have more artistic agency than you would in an orchestra. I have a friend who says sometimes you listen to a great recording and your favorite solo, like your favorite clarinet solo or your favorite French horn solo, that's not actually that player's interpretation. That's the conductor's interpretation
Sure,
of that solo.
sure.
And so with chamber music, you get to really put forth your own interpretation.
And it's amazing. Every time I hear the incredible orchestra like Concertgebouw or Philadelphia, or in the past Mariinsky, of course, Paris Symphony. They all actually sound like a chamber group. The entire orchestra. It sounds like one instrument. It sounds like they playing intimate chamber music, and I think that probably should be the goal for the big orchestras. Sound like a intimate chamber music group. I also, just like you, I enjoy chamber music a lot. For me, it was a highlight when you and I and our colleagues played with Orly Shakhman. It was unbelievable. Yeah. She's just such an incredible musician, and I feel like everybody just had to rise to her level.
Mm-hmm. I agree. And the more opportunities we have as musicians of the Vancouver Symphony to play chamber music with each other, the more we can achieve that goal that you're talking about, getting the larger orchestra to play, as if it were chamber music, where you're really listening hard to all the different lines and not just relying on the conductor for togetherness. That ensemble playing comes from watching the conductor, but also listening across the orchestra. And so I think one of the great things you've done over the last 10 years, I think it's 10 years, right, since you started the chamber series of the Vancouver Symphony?
I think it's like 12 years already.
Okay. But, that opportunity to work on the chamber aspect of stuff outside of the main classical concerts has really allowed the group to improve over the last decade, because we are exercising those chamber chops, if I can say it that way. And then we bring that expertise then to the next big orchestra rehearsal.
And it's a intimate, it's like a conversation between musicians, and I really hope our audience would come and join us and experience this really magical music making. And can you tell us, please, a little bit about your choice of the piece?
We didn't want to overload the concert with Mozart. I mean, I don't know if there's such a thing as too much Mozart, but we wanted to avoid it in case that was a thing, in case that were a thing. So then I was looking at other stuff. There are some other works that are from the classical era by composers who are not quite as accomplished as Mozart, and it would have been sort of more of the same style for the audience, and I wanted to get away from that. I wanted to give them something a little different. And I was looking through IMSLP, which is this Wikipedia for sheet music. It's an amazing resource for public domain sheet music. And there was this composer named Emil Kruez, who I'd never heard of. He's German. He went to live in England, and he wrote this quintet. It's in the public domain, so the parts were free for us to download. So that's being good stewards of Vancouver's finances. And that era, the Romantic era, would be a nice contrast stylistically with the Mozart that you're going to play. It was called the Prize Quintet because it won a composition prize. And then when I was looking on YouTube and Spotify to find a recording, I could not find a recording. It does not appear to be recorded commercially. And so that was intriguing, because we could be the first people to perform and record this perform it in a long time, and the first to record it ever.
Sure.
So for part of the journey for our audience, they're going to be hearing a piece of music they've never heard before. It's this lush, romantic style of music. It's not harsh. It's not dissonant. Think like late Brahms or early Richard Strauss, Gustav Mahler, kind of right in that wheelhouse.
And what are the dates of the composer?
Yeah, he was born in 1867, so 4 years after Mahler, and he died in 1932. So he lived well into the 20th century, and he was, like I said, he was German, but then he moved to England and lived and worked there as a violist and violinist and composer and opera conductor. So interesting guy, not a full-time composer, and more known as a pedagogue for his violin and viola methods.
Well, that is fantastic. I hope our audience can join us to experience that historic moment. You know, not all the new music has to be contemporary, right? This is a newly discovered piece. And, you know, you mentioned that I approached you 2 months ago. So originally, this concert was supposed to be a piano extravaganza. For reasons that are beyond our control, we have to postpone the piano extravaganza till the next year. And next year we will return with piano extravaganza with our great pianist and board member, Michael Liu and his team. We are very excited about that. Second part of the concert is going to be, like you mentioned, Mozart, the Clarinet Quintet, and to me, it's one of the most spectacular pieces of music ever written in all the repertoire. Just magnificent. It was written, I believe, 1789, just before Mozart's death in 1791. So this quintet is actually a product of a friendship and a collaboration between Mozart and the great clarinet virtuoso Anton Stadler. Anton Stadler was working in Vienna, and he became a close friend of Mozart. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that. At the concert, according to many accounts, Stadler was not a nice man at all. So he stole from Mozart. He had some, you know, he was conniving. Mozart's life in general, I remember years ago I came across a book by David Weiss. It was about Mozart's life, and it called Sacred and Profane. And in this particular context, it was talking about hardships that Mozart experienced in his life, mostly financial hardship. And in spite of all this hardship, he was able to write this absolutely music, the spectacular music that transcended centuries and still, you know, at the top of every orchestra, every chamber music organization list. So I'm really excited. I'm really looking forward to playing it, to hearing your piece, Dan, and to hopefully talk to our audience and see as many of you attending as possible. Please bring your friends, bring your family. If the price of the tickets too expensive, call us. We will work with you. Bring your students. This is really a unique opportunity to experience this spectacular music in the intimate setting. Dan, any last words before we?
Sure. We haven't actually rehearsed with our strings yet, so when we talk to the audience in person, we'll be able to get their feedback too as to what the process was like, and you know, ask them how they felt the process was. Was the music hard? What was it like to collaborate, especially on this piece that's new? Hopefully most of them have played the Mozart before. I also think that the new piece being first, right, if you don't like it, that's great, because we have Mozart coming up next. And if you do like it, that's great, because we have Mozart coming up next. Everybody loves the Mozart, so that's a great way to finish the program. But I'm excited about my piece too.
And I'll tell you more stories about Stadler.
Excellent. That sounds great.
Sounds good. Well, thank you so much, and thank you for tuning in.